Mohamed Nuru was the director of public works in San Francisco's city government. On November 4, 2018, he and his daughter returned home from an international trip. As soon as they got home at 9:21 p.m., Nuru couldn't wait to dial his girlfriend, Sandra Zuniga, telling her, "Oh my God, we had so much fun in China." At the same time, the FBI's wiretap system was activated, recording Nuru's full account of his amazing trip to China. The Chinese tycoon who paid for Nuru's trip was recently arrested in London and is facing extradition to the United States for bribery. How are a Chinese billionaire and a California local official involved in a corruption case? Has anti-corruption become a tool that the United States uses to battle the aggressive CCP? Hi everyone, I'm Lei. Welcome to Leisrealtalk. Jiang Zemin was the first CCP leader who used anti-corruption to strike down his political enemy. Xi Jinping has adopted to fight Jiang Zemin's gang. I think the United States has learned something and figured out that anti-corruption is an effective tool to take down the CCP. Before I get into that, let me finish telling you the story of Mohamed Nuru and the mysterious Chinese tycoon. At the end of October 2018, Mohamed Nuru and his daughter, accompanied by a man from San Francisco, flew first class to China, and a Chinese real estate tycoon paid for their trip. Nuru described him as the fifth wealthiest man in China, who has a giant private jet and multi-million-dollar real estate projects in San Francisco. Nuru and his party were taken to the Park Hyatt Hotel in a Mercedes-Benz limo and were treated like royalty. They were protected by bodyguards 24/7, like real VIPs. The man who accompanied Nuru to China explained that the hotel was only one of the tycoon's 105 five-star hotels in China. One day at lunch, the tycoon decided to take them for a spin at Nuru's suggestion. They went to a small hot spring town. Nuru recalls that the place was swamped with bodyguards wearing headphones, waiting for them when they arrived. Nuru could never forget the scene when the tycoon took him to tour his home, which was like a museum and the White House. There, Nuru saw a large collection of art and paintings, as well as some stones that looked like uncut diamonds. The tycoon grabbed a few stones and gave them to Nuru. The tycoon told him the house was worth $1 million. In the evening, the tycoon treated them to dinner and opened a bottle of 50-year-old Maotai, which was said to be worth $10,000. By the way, Maotai is the most expensive Chinese liquor. The next day, the tycoon brought out a $2,000 bottle of French wine for Nuru to enjoy. The man who accompanied Nuru and his daughter to China seemed to know the tycoon very well. He said the tycoon didn't live there. The place was for receiving guests. Before Nuru returned home, the tycoon gave him a bottle of wine worth $2,070. Nuru summed up his trip to China to his girlfriend by saying, "My daughter and I have forgotten what money is." The tycoon is Zhang Li, founder of R&F Group, one of China's major real estate companies. Zhang was previously a government official. He founded R&F Group with the wealthy Hong Kong businessman Li Zilim in 1994. In 2005, R&F became the first mainland real estate company to be included in the Hang Seng China Enterprises Index. In February 2010, Zhang Li was included on Forbes' list of billionaires, ranking 556. In 2013, he ranked 15th in the new Fortune China Rich list. The man who accompanied Nuru to China is Walter Wang, a Chinese community leader in San Francisco who owns a plethora of businesses. He was a longtime construction permit expediter and a city contractor. As a permit expediter, he secured building permits for construction companies and architectural firms by coordinating the approval process. In August 2015, Zhang Li's R&F Group acquired the 555 Fulton project on a 2-acre parcel of land in downtown San Jose and planned to develop high-end apartment buildings. But there were problems during the permit application process. The windows used in the project were defective, and presented a safety hazard and therefore couldn't pass the official inspection. Walter Wong came to the billionaire's rescue. He helped facilitate the bribes for Mohammed Nuru and other city officials, and his effort included Nuru's trip to China with his daughter. In exchange, Nuru pulled strings to move along the problematic development in San Jose. At one point, documents related to the project mysteriously disappeared and then reappeared from the Department of Building Inspection's computer system. This prompted a visit from the FBI. Nuru was charged on January 28, 2020, and found guilty and sentenced to 7 years in prison for corruption. His girlfriend, who was a former director of San Francisco Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, pleaded guilty to money laundering conspiracy. Walter Wong was also found guilty and ordered to pay a fine of $1.7 million to the city. Similar to the Chinese white gloves, Wong acted as Nuru's bagman in taking bribes. Zhang Li was arrested recently in London on December 12, 2022. He was later released on a 15 million British pound bail, the highest bail ever recorded in the United Kingdom. Zhang was ordered to surrender his Canadian and Chinese passports and be subject to monitoring at his London apartment. He will be handcuffed when escorted to court appearances, according to the bail order. I found Zhang's high-profile arrest and the record amount of bail unusual because the verdicts for Nuru and Wong had been issued 2 years ago. Zhang was not named in their cases but was arrested 2 years later with a 15 million pound bail. Why? A recent discussion by a Chinese YouTuber about the U.S. government increasing its efforts to track Chinese officials' corrupt activities in the U.S. caught my attention. It led me to an article by the small conservative media called The Washington Times, not The Washington Post, reporting on December 14th that the Congress is passing a bill requiring intelligence agencies to submit reports on the wealth of CCP leaders. The fiscal 2023 Intelligence Authorization Bill requires reporting on the wealth and corrupt activities of the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. The bill was expected to be signed by President Biden in the following week, which is right now, as part of an omnibus spending bill. The passing of this bill and the arrest of Zhang Li are sending shockwaves to CCP officials and other Chinese. They will surely react to it if they haven't already. CCP officials are not afraid of Sino-US trade wars or economic sanctions. What they fear the most is the United States releasing information about their family assets in the US or other parts of the world, their hidden wealth, and their corrupt activities. In addition, the CCP has been using unethical means to infiltrate America and other Western countries. When the CCP wants Westerners to do things for them, they first study their targets. If you like money, they will give you money. They will arrange for a beautiful woman to run into you if money doesn't work. If those two don't work, they can always invite you to China for a visit, treat you like royalty, and shower you with gifts and honors, depending on what you like. Once you get comfortable with them, they will ask you to do things, illegally of course, but they will craft it in a way that sounds normal. If you still find it odd and question the ethics, they'll respond politely and attribute it to a cultural difference in approaching matters. So it's very difficult for Westerners not to fall into their trap. An anti-corruption campaign by the West to resist and strike at the CCP's corruptive influence is long overdue, in my opinion. If we don't intervene, we're giving the CCP carte blanche to come here to corrupt our people. On that note, I think it's great that the U.S. Congress passed the Intelligence Authorization Bill, and the district attorneys in California are working with the European allies to extradite the Chinese tycoon. And I think mainstream media should not remain quiet, but report them widely. Please like and share. Don't forget to subscribe. That's all for today. Thank you. See you next time.